The story should have ended there. They didn't. Because once people started listening closely, they realized something disturbing. These events weren't isolated. They were answering each other. Story 16 comes from a small coastal town in Maine. A fisherman installed a new marine radio after his old one failed. The first night, it crackled to life on its own, cutting through the static, with a voice that wasn't on any registered channel. It said his name, not shouted, not distorted. Spoken the way someone does when they're standing right behind you. He responded, thinking it was another boat. There was a pause. Then the voice replied, "You're further from shore than you think." The GPS said otherwise. Calm waters, clear night. The next morning, his boat was found drifting miles inland, tangled in marsh grass. The engine was cold. The radio was still on, repeating coordinates that didn't exist. Story 17 came from a high-rise apartment in Atlanta. Multiple residents complained about a smell in the stairwell between the 9th and 10th floors. Not rot, not gas. Something old. Management reviewed the cameras. Every night at 2:22 a.m., a door appeared where there shouldn't have been one. No frame, no handle, just a darker shape in the concrete wall. At 2:23, it opened. Nothing ever came out. But at 2:24, something always went back in. The smell stopped after a week. So did the complaints, because the tenants on that floor stopped answering emails. Story 18 spread through a group chat of urban explorers. A group entered an abandoned shopping mall slated for demolition. Everything was dust and echoes, except the directory map. It was lit and updating. "You are here," moved as they walked. When they tried to leave, the exits on the map disappeared one by one. The last message sent from the group chat was a photo. The directory now read, "Thank you for staying." The mall was demolished the next day. The workers reported hearing footsteps inside the rubble. Story 19 comes from a suburban neighborhood in Colorado, where multiple doorbell cameras recorded the same man walking past houses at night. Same time, same pace. Every night. He never looked at the houses, never at the cameras, just straight ahead, except on the 7th night. On the 7th night, every camera caught him stopping, turning, and looking directly into the lens. Homeowners checked their footage in the morning. Some cameras hadn't recorded him at all, but the ones that had no longer worked. Story 20 was dismissed as a hoax until emergency operators compared notes. Calls from different states, different voices, same sentence. "There's someone standing where my reflection should be." Every caller described their mirror the same way. Clear, normal. Except the reflection smiled a moment too late. Operators were trained to calm them down, to ask them to leave the room. None of the callers made it out of sight of the mirror. The line always went quiet, not disconnected. Just quiet, as if someone else was listening. After that, the reports changed. People didn't say someone was inside their house anymore. They said the house felt occupied, like arriving late to something that had already started without you. Story 21 comes from a sleep clinic in Boston. Patients began reporting the same dream. A room with no doors, a ceiling too low to stand, and a voice asking questions, not threatening, administrative. "How long do you think you've been here? How long would anyone notice if you didn't wake up?" One patient woke screaming. His heart rate monitor showed activity during the dream that shouldn't be possible. The technician reviewing the footage noticed something else. The patient's mouth moved during sleep. Answering. Story 22 appeared briefly on social media before being removed. A teenager posted a video claiming his shadow had started lagging behind him. At first, it was subtle, a fraction of a second, then longer. In the final clip, he turns off the light. The shadow doesn't disappear. It steps forward. The account went inactive. Friends said he stopped showing up to school. His house was empty, but the lights were all on. Story 23 is quieter. A librarian in Vermont noticed returned books with notes scribbled in the margins. Not handwriting, indentations. As if someone had pressed words into the paper without ink. Every note said the same thing. This isn't where I left myself. Security cameras showed no one writing them. Just patrons reading, pausing, and then slowly closing the book, as if they'd been reminded of something they were trying very hard to forget. The last story for tonight isn't dramatic. No screams, no footage, just a pattern noticed too late. In 2025, smart devices began logging presence without movement. Phones lighting up without notifications. TVs turning on to static at the same hour, always just before morning. People assumed glitches, updates, normal explanations, until someone noticed the timestamps. They aligned across time zones, as if whatever this was moving with the night. So, if it feels like your room is slightly fuller than it should be, if the quiet feels intentional, if you sense patience where fear should be, that's not your imagination. That's the part no one wants to say out loud. Because these weren't attacks, they were rehearsals. And whatever has been watching all this time isn't trying to scare us anymore. It's trying to see who notices first and who doesn't move at all. By the time people realized what was happening, the language changed. Not in the reports, in the pauses. Story 24 came from a suburban cul-de-sac in New Jersey. Neighbors noticed one house never turned its lights off anymore. Day or night, every room glowed. The owners were a quiet couple, no kids, no pets. Police performed a welfare check. The front door was unlocked. Inside, everything was clean, too clean. Furniture pushed against the walls as if the center of the house needed to stay empty. In the middle of the living room floor, written in chalk, were dozens of overlapping outlines of a human body, all slightly different, like practice. The couple was never found, but the lights stayed on until the power company shut them off. Even then, neighbors swear the house still glows at night. Story 25 appeared in a tech support forum. A man complained that his phone kept unlocking itself and opening the front-facing camera. No apps running, no malware detected. One reply asked him to check the photo gallery. There were thousands of images, all taken at night, all from the same angle, all showing him asleep. But as the photos progressed, something changed. In the later images, he wasn't alone in the frame. The final photo shows his eyes open, not waking, already looking. Story 26 comes from a subway system in Washington, D.C. Train operators began reporting passengers standing on platforms that cameras couldn't see. They'd slow the train, thinking someone had fallen. Nothing there, except the feeling of being watched from below the platform edge. One operator quit after reviewing footage that showed a reflection in the train window, not of the platform, but of something standing behind him in the cab, matching his movements, delayed by half a second. Story 27 is brief because it ended mid-sentence, a voicemail left with emergency services in Arizona. I think there's another version of my house under mine. I can hear them walking when I stop. They stop too. They're learning when I listen. The call cut out. Responders found the house empty. Basement floor freshly cracked, as if something had been testing where the surface gave way. Story 28 spread through online classrooms. Students complained their webcams were activating after lessons ended. Teachers dismissed it as glitches until recordings surfaced. Dozens of empty bedrooms, empty desks, empty chairs. But every video had the same thing, a slow shift in perspective, as if the camera were being gently adjusted, framing something just out of view. Story 29 came from a wildlife reserve in Montana. Trail cameras began capturing images of animals frozen in place. Deer, wolves, bears, all staring at the same point off frame for hours. In one image, the animals are gone. The clearing is empty, except for a human footprint, far too large, pressed so deeply it split the soil. Story 30 was never officially logged because no one filed it. People just stopped sleeping. Across forums, across languages, the same experience appeared. Lying awake, eyes closed, aware of breathing that wasn't theirs, not near the bed. Inside the room, waiting for recognition. Not touch, not sound. Just awareness. And then came the change. The stories after that don't describe fear. They describe familiarity. People saying things like, "It felt like it had always been there," or "I don't remember when the room was empty." One woman in Seattle posted, "I think it moved in slowly so I wouldn't notice the weight." Her account went silent. In 2025, something important happened. People stopped asking what it was. They started asking how long it had been watching. Because whatever this presence is, it doesn't rush. It doesn't chase. It doesn't need permission. It waits until the moment you realize the room has been holding its breath with you. So if you're listening right now and you feel the urge to check behind you, ask yourself why that thought arrived. Ask yourself how long it's been there. And ask yourself something else. When was the last time you remember being alone? Not just physically, but truly. The next reports didn't come from individuals. They came from systems. Story 31 emerged when emergency dispatch centers noticed something strange in their logs. Calls marked as answered, with no audio, no caller ID, no location. Just timestamps, always the same window. Between 4:11 and 4:18 a.m., operators said that during those calls, they felt watched. Not through cameras, not through windows, from the room itself. One dispatcher quit after realizing the calls were responding to her breathing. When she held her breath, the line went silent. When she inhaled, something inhaled back. Story 32 comes from a therapist in California. Multiple patients began describing the same intrusive thought. Not a voice, a suggestion. If you stay still, it won't need to adjust you. They didn't know where it came from. They just knew it felt practiced, like something that had been used before. One patient stopped blinking during a session, just stared past the therapist's shoulder. When asked what she was looking at, she said, "It's checking if you can see it too." Story 33 surfaced in a factory town in Pennsylvania. Workers complained the machines kept starting up after shutdown. No power, no input. Security footage showed the assembly line moving on its own, not producing anything, just repeating the same motion, over and over. Like it was memorizing how humans move. Story 34 is subtle. People began waking up feeling heavier, not tired, weighted, as if something had settled. Sleep trackers showed longer REM cycles, less movement. People were staying still longer without realizing it. Doctors blamed stress, but one neurologist noted something odd. Patients' brains showed activity consistent with being observed. The same patterns seen when someone knows they're being watched, except no one was there. Story 35 came from a small town in Idaho. The local radio station received a voicemail meant for no one. No greeting, no background noise. Just a voice saying calmly, "They're starting to notice the delay." The station never played it, but every DJ who listened to it reported the same thing. Afterward, silence felt crowded. Story 36 spread quietly through online support groups, people describing the same moment, lying in bed, eyes open, room dark, and the sudden certainty that if they moved, they would be corrected, not punished, adjusted. One post ended with a sentence that was later deleted. "I think it prefers when we don't resist because it saves time." By now, the pattern was undeniable. Whatever this was, it wasn't hiding anymore. It wasn't revealing itself either. It was allowing awareness, slowly, carefully, like easing pressure so something doesn't crack. Story 37 comes from a university lab studying human perception. Researchers ran an experiment on attention and presence. Participants were placed alone in a room, told nothing would happen. After several minutes, most reported discomfort, not fear, expectation, like waiting for someone to finish a sentence. One participant whispered, "It's waiting for us to stop pretending we're alone." The experiment was shut down. The data wasn't deleted. It just wouldn't open anymore. Story 38 is the last documented incident before the tone of reports changed completely. A man in Minnesota called his brother at 5 a.m. He said, "I don't think it's in the house. I think the house is in it." Then he laughed, not hysterical, relieved. The call ended. After that, the stories stop sounding like warnings. They start sounding like acceptance. People saying things like, "It doesn't hurt. It's very patient. It already knows where everything goes." Which brings us to now. Because if you're still listening, that means something important. You've stayed still long enough. You've noticed the quiet without filling it. And that's usually when it checks again. So listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you.